everyone, my name is Aashay. Today I'm going to explain one of the basic openings in chess. The opening is the king's opening. There are many variations to this, and today we are going to discuss them all. Let's start. The the king's opening basically begins with white playing the move e4. This move aims to take control of the center as it targets two of the main squares. Black's most dominant response to this is always e5. If black plays e5, the most proper way to respond is move your knight to f3, which attacks this pawn and also attacks this square, which can be useful for the fried liver attack. Now, if since we're attacking this pawn, black would try to defend it. If black defends with the knight, then you open up with your bishop moving front. This is called also as an Italian game, which is another variant. Once we do this, black would most likely develop their bishop as well. Then we castle. Now this is called a fried liver, where if the opponent pushes their knight out, then we can go over here, which targets this square, these two squares, and yet it still defends this square. Now, if black castles, we can bring our queen out and do some damage to this square. But if when we do this, when we do the knight move, when we're targeting this square, instead of that, if they do something to gain space, for example, try to push the bishop out, then we can take this pawn which forks the queen and the rook. Now, whatever our opponent does, they will lose a rook. So that is one of the variant called the Italian game or the fried liver. Another way is like when we play the knight here, the opponent can develop the queen and support the pawn. Then we can put our bishop out to try to do the same thing. And if they develop their knight, we develop our knight. If they do their bishop, we can castle. Now, the main thing in this is the queen is blocking the knight, and the knight cannot go here since it's pretty much useless over there. So, the only move is over here where all the pieces are blocked by other pieces of the opponent or mine. So, if the opponent's knight comes here, the only spaces it's really targeting is g8 and g6. So, this technically causes a weakness for black. So whatever black does, if they need to castle, they need to do this. Or maybe they could castle on the other side. Now here, this is another variant. Like if you try to copy, black can come over here, pinning your knight to the queen. Now if you try to just try to gain center, space in the center and try to take the queen off, the queen can just defend and or that's also good, but then another move that the queen can do is this. So if the bishop takes the queen, we check, then we take, and when our opponent tries to kick our bishop out, we can take the queen. So this is good for black. So when we do this, we should be aware that we cannot let the bishop to come here, because if we do something random like just we try to do the Sicilian and bring our bishop out, then the knight can come here. And now, if we take this knight, we are pinned. So we will just lose our queen. And now, if we try to defend it and attack the knight, then the knight can take here. Now, if you take with the queen, you lose your queen. So you have to take the pawn. But then the bishop takes, and now your king is wide open with this file, and the square is controlled. So you need to sacrifice your queen, or else it will be checkmate within a few moves. Or you can also do here, but then trade, check, and checkmate. This is one of the main lines, and it occurs to many people. So the best move when an opponent moves the bishop in any scenario is to just move the h3 pawn and block the bishop. So it cannot come here, it can't come here. If it comes here, the bishop takes. So the only legal move is over here without being. So then the bishop can do the Sicilian, where if we do this, it can come over here and it creates sort of an attack where it's lining up on this square, which is crucial for checkmate. And the black king can opposite castle here. So then we just try to attack the queen. Then the queen can just come side, and then this. Oh yeah. Since we are blocked, we cannot castle because this bishop is blocking up king. So then maybe the bishop can just be protected. So now we push it, and now the bishop has to move away. For example, if it goes here, we need to take, or else it'll ruin our king structure, which is really nice and protective like a base. So when the queen takes, we castle on the king side, which causes like a barricade over here, and these pawns can just rush and try and check. That is one of the lines for this opening. So now if we went here and they did not try to defend it at any cost, then we just take. Now if they try to kick our knight off, we move side. If they take our knight, we pin their knight to the king. But instead if they take, we again pin the knight, and if they defend their knight, we kick their knight out. So now when the knight, for example, just goes back, we have something called a discovered attack check. So for example, that is when we move here, we are giving a check where the king has to move or something has to block, but we are also attacking the queen. So we cannot, the black pieces, they cannot take the knight because we are there in check. If they block with the bishop, we take their queen. The block with the queen, we take their queen. So this, if this happens, it's basically a win for you. You will win a queen. So the most logical reason is what's called a Scandinavian defense, where they'll push the black pawn and we'll have to take. So when the queen takes, we still are better because then we can push the knight. If they give check, we can just block. And then if they just try to kick our bishop out, we'll just casually just castle and everything. If they bring it here, you can do this. Where if they take, it'll be worse for them because we are pinning their king. So when they move, like to try and deliver checkmate here, they cannot give checkmate, and plus we have this really strong battery. So if they try and bring their knight over here, we can just block it. And if they move back for this, we can just block the square. So this is completely winning for white. So this is one of the most practical openings. But if they push the F pawn, they immediately lose. Since if you take, like, if they move this, you just take and then they take, and their king is really open. But if they move here, you can give a check. And if they block, they have to take back and then you get a free rook. But if they move their king, then you take this. If they take with this, then you move your bishop, you move your pawn, and if they try to attack the pawn, you pin it. For example, their best move is just to block, and then we take, and this is completely winning as this, and then you're winning a rook. So this is one of the most standard openings. This is really standard. Many people use this, the king pawn opening. Now I'm just going to use this in my game, and you can see how this works effectively. Okay, let's start again. Okay, now we're black, so we cannot do the king's pawn, but you can see that our opponent is also doing it. I'm going to try and limit my opponent from trying to beat me because the king's pawn opening is really strong. Yeah, this is one of the main lines where they pin the knight. So now we need to defend this, or else the bishop will take the knight, and then the knight can take the pawn. So now for this scenario, we need to like block it like this. So if they take, I just take with the pawn, and then still this bishop has an opening and it's not blocked. Now this pawn is weak. Opponent's pawn is weak, but they defended. So we just castle. This is called the Rui Lopez, where they try and attack. Yeah, and now I try to gain center square, and if they come down, I just take. If they block, yeah, that's the most common response. I will just um, I'll just attack their queen. Now, since they're going to block, I'm just okay. That's quite strange because now when I take this, they're going to soon hang a queen, but I guess they might not see it because now, like if I take, I think they're going to see it where now they just lost a queen. This is called a discovered check. Where now if I take this, their queen is hanging. See, now they have to move their king. If they move it there, they're going to lose their queen. So this is called a discovered check where you can absolutely win a queen. And now I might just win the game because I am going to be up a queen. But yes, they are of course also going to be up. They're going to be up a bishop as well. So this is going to be a pretty interesting game. But still, I think that I can clearly say that I'm still winning. Now the opponent is thinking. This move completely hangs a full rook. So this is just a free rook for me. I don't think my opponent realized that. So now I can just take this bishop, is knight, sorry. And if they take, they're just completely losing these three pawns. Yes, and my opponent resigned. So this is how, like the Rui Lopez is one of the weakest terms of the king's opening because, like in the beginning, if he does this, the most common response is, of course, like when he does that, like most common is this. Like if he takes, I take with that, and then my bishops come in. Like this is the point where it's kind of bad for him because it kind of makes a draw. Like when I take, he takes with this knight. I pin, he does this. This was the blunder, his blunder. This move blundered the game because instead of that, he should have moved the pawn. If he moved the pawn, probably the best move would be to do this, then I take. But then thing is now the knight is blocking. If there was no knight, for example, like this, if there was no knight, then it would be still winning like the previous. But yes, that was a good game. So now I'll play the same thing but with white. I'll show you the king's pawn opening. Since the Now this guy will do the most standard opening. I'm going to try the Italian and try to fool him. Okay, this is also one of the most common responses. I just castle because if he takes, then I take. And now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to push this pawn. Okay, now he does that. So I just take. Now he cannot pin me because there is no bishop. I mean, there is no um, knight. Now this pawn threatens checkmate. And if I come here, I'm going to win this pawn. Okay. Now, if this pawn was not here, I could bring my queen over here and fork his king and his rook. But in this scenario, that is not possible. So I will just go here and force him to move. Or, okay, that's also a good move. And now I will ask him to take, yes. And now I take back with the knight. This is an equal game now. I can push to take the center and then attack his knight and everything. So, yep, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push. and attack. Take that. Now his knight has to move. If it moves here, I just move this, and then that's a free knight to me. Oh, I forgot the pawn's hanging. Yeah, that's one bad thing. If he moves here, I'll just move here, and then okay, he moves back, and now I would love to get control over this square, but if I do this, I would lose. So I am just going to play normal and try and take control of the square. I'll just come here. If he takes. Yeah, but it's. I would say this is most likely a draw. Now, if I go here, but still his knight is defending the square, I would say this would be a draw unless my opponent makes a blunder. So I will try and make him to make a blunder. I'll go here, comes here. I'll target these two squares as well as his queen and try to push pressure my opponent. Okay. My opponent wants to kick my queen out. So I'll just move here. Now if I go here, if he comes here, I just take. But if he goes here, I'll go here. And then soon my bishop, my knight will be able to come here. But oh, that's nice. That's a really nice move. I will just simply allow that to happen because now he has to move. And then I am okay. That was a really strange move because now I'm going to target his bishop as well as this crucial pawn. And maybe if his bishop comes here, I can trade. Okay, but he goes for that. Now I will just come over here and target this square for his queen. Then I'm going to bring my bishop here. Trade bishops. I think this game is most likely going to end as a draw. Or could I could take his pawn now, and if he comes here, I trade queen. But then that's going to be boring. But I could come here, takes. But then yeah, that's pretty good. I'll just kick his queen out. Okay. Now if I go here, then I take, give check, give here, comes here. Then I can come over here and then give him check again like this. But I don't know if I can say this that this is gonna be a win. Like this pawn, since it was a king's pawn opening, has really impacted the whole game. That's why I would like you all to try and use this opening in your game. The king's pawn opening. It's really good. It's advantageous because it increases your attack and everything. Now he is going to block. When he blocks, I'll just come here. Maybe I'll try to take his pawns. Isn't that just that's just a free wait. No. If I take, he takes, then I take a free bishop. Yep, that's oh it doesn't have okay. Oh okay, that was there. I'll just trade. I'll bring this rook here, this pawn, then I'll bring the other rook in, this pawn. I'll try and checkmate him. This pawn is really dangerous. So I'll move here. If he comes here, I'll take this. And now when he comes to attack this, I'll take this pawn. And then, yeah, that will be really good for me. In the king's side, I am winning, but I'm completely losing in the queen side. I could try and checkmate him now. Is he going to notice it? I think he's going to notice that. This is going to be checkmate. He can only wait. He can't block it. The only way he can block it is if he sacrifices the rook. He has to sacrifice the rook. Okay, I just won then. He could come here, but then he's going to lose the rook. It's checkmate. I won. That was a nice game, I think. Yeah. I hope you all learned something really good from this, and you can all follow this in your games. So, if you all like this content, chess, and the openings, please do like and subscribe. And thank you, everybody.